Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
A few moments later.
What we did last night, some breaking news, we pulled all non-essential funding from the Department of Corrections in Maine because they were allowing a man in a woman's prison.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. You know it helps us out a ton, and of course it helps you because it helps us. Now, y'all, look at your screen right now. Do you see that person with the tie? This person here. This very large, over 6 foot tall, 250 pound plus person. Now, these are the person's parents. But the person that I just pointed out to you, pop quiz, okay? Pop quiz, because there's some confusion going on in the state of Maine. The person you were just looking at, do you think that is a male person or a female person? That is the central question. That person right there, y'all, with the tie on, a male human or a female human? Now, that is the central question that has caused a whole controversy and has lost your girl, Governor Mills, in the state of Maine, that has lost them millions of dollars. See, the person that you just saw, who you might have thought, you erroneously would have thought is a male. No, the state of Maine, the state of Maine says we are looking at a person, a human, who is not a male, but who's a female and who should be put in the female prison. The Trump administration disagrees, and now Maine is losing millions of dollars in federal funding. So let's get into it. But before we get into it, y'all, I want to let y'all know something. Over the months, people have sent this channel super thanks in the comments, and I never shouted y'all out. So y'all are going to be seeing at the bottom, you're going to be seeing these super thanks scrolling. That's my way of shouting y'all out. And we do accept super thanks. Okay, y'all? So if you want to give us super thanks, please do that. I want to let y'all know we do appreciate it. Also, if you want to send us, listen, my mom always said, look, closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? If y'all want to send a Cash App to appreciate the channel, you can see the Cash App in the description and on the screen. And by the way, if you would like to sponsor one of these videos, y'all, we're getting millions of views per month. Some of these videos go over 100, 200, 300,000 views. If you want to sponsor, check in the description, send us an email. We'll hook it up. We'll hook it up, okay? You have a business or you just want to give a shout out to people, just want to support us. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and get into today's story about the person that you just saw on your screen. Let's see what all the kerfuffle is about.
The federal government has now pulled all non-essential funding from the Maine Department of Corrections. That's more than $1.5 million. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi making that announcement this morning on Fox and Friends, saying it is because a transgender inmate is being held in a women's prison here in Maine. Bondi did not specify which inmate, but Maine's total coverage previously covered the double murder case involving a transgender convict. Andrea Balcer, who went by Andrew at the time of the crime in 2016, was sentenced to 40 years in prison back in 2018. The Maine Department of Corrections website showing Balcer is currently at the state women's prison in Windham. This is just the latest in a series of developments between Maine and the White House over transgender issues.
Now we're going to get to Pam Bondi and hear her say this, all of this and her explanation in her own words. We're going to get to that shortly. But for those of you who did not see the original back and forth between President Trump and Governor Mills of Maine, look, y'all, even if you have seen it, it's worth watching again. This is great stuff, right? This is great content, okay? This is a great back and forth. So we're going to shoot into that in case you haven't seen it. And even if you have, let's watch it again. Then we'll get to Pam Bondi explaining her decision to pull this funding.
We need people in the country, but they have to come in legally. 2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue because you'll never win another race. And it's just crazy. If you look at what happened with the boxing, if you look at what happened with the weightlifting numbers, where a record that hadn't been broken for 19 years got shattered by, they put up an eighth of an ounce here, an eighth of an ounce there, and it's 218 pounds or whatever, a lot. And hadn't been broken in 19 years. And then guy walks up who transitioned. He transitioned, and he knocked out that record by about 100 pounds. That will be a record not going to be broken again in a long. So we put a ban on it, and to protect women. I mean, the women, if you watch the Olympics, you had two transitioned people that were fighting in the women's boxing. They have women's boxing category. And if you saw that, it was brutal. What happened to the Italian woman was a really good boxer. After one punch, she said, no more. I've never been hit. It was a left. It was not even it was just a left jab. She got hit so hard, she said, I can't do it. They forced her to go out. No, go out again. You'll do it. Goes out again, gets hit again. No, that's it. She didn't want to die, and it's crazy. But the NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well,
Down here,
are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation, and we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens. We're going to protect.
So Trump gave this warning. Look, if you keep up with this, you're going to be losing money. Listen, the states are already losing money, right? Maine has already lost money. Now they're losing even more money. So let's get into Pam Bondi explaining this decision.
So, Madam Attorney General, it looks like Maine is upset, the state of Maine. The president made it very clear that no more men in women's sports. Not going to happen. As a result of that, he took a lot of the funding away since they didn't want to comply. They have since decided that they're going to sue the United States government. You're going to be representing the government. What can you tell us?
Well, we were right to do that. President Trump has the right to determine where the money goes, where federal money goes. And also, Lawrence, on Friday, we got a great win, too, with the Department of Justice. The Supreme Court ruled in our favor on DEI and where this money can go with the Department of Education. So that falls for every agency. We can determine where that money goes, all federal money. Now, back to Maine. Yeah, what's happening there is they're not abiding by what President Trump said. They're allowing men and women's sports. And in the case right now, what we did last night, some breaking news, we pulled all non-essential funding from the Department of Corrections in Maine because they were allowing a man in a woman's prison, a giant 6'1", 245-pound guy who committed a double murder with a knife, stabbed his parents to death and the family dog, and he identified as a woman. So they were letting him be housed in a female prison. No longer. We will pull your funding. We will protect women in prison. We will protect women in sports. We will protect women throughout this country. No more of that.
It's unbelievable that we're still dealing with this issue. It seems like the American people have spoken on this issue, but the resistance campaign continues.
And finally, you might want to know more about the individual who's at the center of all this controversy. We're going to shoot into a quick little news piece about this individual so you can get a little bit more context as to how this person came to understand their transgender feelings, etc. So let's take a look at a very quick little news piece on that.
Preferred to be called Andrea and to use the female-related pronouns.
Arthur Pierce standing by his grandson as details about Andrew Balcer's struggle with gender identity were made public. Police say Balcer confessed to the Halloween murders from the very beginning, saying his mother, Alice Balcer, was condescending. His father, Antonio, didn't seem to care about him. On Halloween 2016, Andrew Balcer said he snapped, stabbing both of them, the family dog, and then letting his older brother go because Balcer said he was the only one who listened to him. During a 2-day hearing in Augusta, pictures of Andrew as a child flashed up on the screen. A forensic psychologist who evaluated Balcer several times since the murder says he repressed his emotions and they festered. His grandfather recalled the day Balcer asked to be called Andrea instead of Andrew.
My reception to that was a big hug. Whether he's male or female or transgender or seeking, it makes no matter to me or his grandmother.
Prosecutors say, given the factors in this case, Balcer should be tried as an adult.
Keeping Mr. Balcer in the juvenile system would greatly diminish the gravity of this offense. This is an incredibly heinous murder of his parents, and keeping him in that system would diminish that offense greatly.
The judge expected to issue a written decision, which could take about 2 weeks. Balcer currently being held at the Long Creek Youth Development Center in South Portland. Live in the studio, Jim Keithley, WMTW News 8.
All right, y'all, now you've seen everything, right? I'm going to ask for your opinion, so let me know. What do y'all think about all this? Do you think that the federal government is right to stop funding for non-essential funding for Maine prisons? Or do you say, no, this is state rights. This is a states' rights issue. Just let the state do what they gonna do, right? I want to hear what y'all have to say, so let me know down in the comments. But before you do, please do stop, hit the share button, share this video out, put in somebody's email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Put them all in, right? Send it out to somebody else or a bunch of people who will want to see this video. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. I want to thank y'all for watching. Thank you for all the super thanks. I'm thanking you for thanking me with the super. And of course, love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.